Can you terminate toxins? Completely eliminate them in your lifestyle? No way. No way. So what we're really trying to do is reduce exposure to toxicity as best we can and become aware of the common threats. Because the more aware you are, the more you can make choices and navigate the minefield, which is toxicity in 2023. So that being said, we're going to hit some broad overarching topics today, and then we're going to get really deep into some specific implementation on how to do this stuff. Because who's heard the saying, knowledge is power? Knowledge is not power. Action is power, right? So if we don't leave here with an action plan, we just wasted our time and gained some knowledge. So action is power. Yeah, and there's a lot of actions that we take every day that put us in vulnerable positions with toxicity. So there's a lot of action required to minimize toxicity and a lot of knowledge around it as well. So we'll just clear the air on that. And I just kind of want to connect with you guys and say, like, I genuinely appreciate getting to do this with you guys. You guys are my type of people. You know, to come here on a night and spend an hour talking about toxicity and how to live a longer life and how to be healthier and how to avoid disease and avoid the pitfalls of modern medicine as much as we can, right? And when I say that, I'm saying modern medicine is one of the worst healthcare plans to actually create health and vitality in your life. It's the worst. Is it there for you to save your life in a crisis? Absolutely. So I'm not saying medicine is pointless. Don't hear me that way. What I am saying is, if your plan to live a long, healthy life is, I'm just going to go to my cardiologist when I'm having a heart attack, or I'm going to get a stent put in, or they'll save me, it's a terrible plan. It's a terrible plan. It's the most expensive one, and it doesn't actually work. So it falls on you and only you to create a lifestyle that's congruent with the laws that we were designed by. Okay? And so the most simple way that I want you guys to kind of think of this tonight is the human body is a massive ecosystem. Okay? So when we look at each other, we see, like, I see Laura. But Laura is this energetic being that's made out of 70 trillion cells that are all working in harmony to create Laura, right? It's this incredible miracle. But it's an ecosystem. Laura today is different than she was a week ago. A year from now, all the cells in her body will have died and regenerated. The body's photocopying and regenerating these cells. So nothing is ever staying the same. And that's where I think people get lost in the healthcare journey, is that it is an infinite game. It never ends until your life ends. You don't ever achieve health. You'll never be toxin-free and just be like, I'm good, I achieved it. Now on to the next thing. It's a nonstop, endless game where you're always fighting to maximize your vitality, to balance this ecosystem and give it what it needs and prevent what it doesn't need. And so that's where question number one on the notes here that you're filling in, what are the 3 T's? These are made famous by the founding fathers of chiropractic, saying that all disease in the human body can be boiled down to these 3 things: thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And they're kind of stated in this way for convenience, meaning they start with a T, but thoughts, meaning the mental, emotional existence, the relationships, the perceptions we have change our physiology. Traumas, meaning physical damage, sedentary lifestyle, car accidents, repetitive micro trauma, meaning you lift with your right arm 65 times as a cashier, whatever it is. And then toxins, meaning things that are coming into the body that do not belong there. And essentially, how well you manage these 3 T's determines how healthy you are and how much you can optimize or minimize them. The other way to say it is, all disease comes from deficiency and toxicity. Deficiency meaning you do not have enough of a good thing. And the easiest way to think about our ecosystem, we often don't think of ourselves as an ecosystem, but we do with any other animal species on the planet. So it's kind of interesting. There's this separation that we have as humans where we think we're not animals and we're not part of Earth. We're humans. We're cooler. We're different. But while on Earth, we are part of this ecosystem. It is what it is. Regardless of your faith or whatever, your human body is part of Earth. It is. In the same way, if we have a plant here that's wilting and dying and the leaves are turning brown, you would walk up and say, what does this plant need? What is it missing? Deficiency. Or what is poisoning this plant, right? Is there a little kid dumping Coca-Cola in the plant and it's dying? So deficiency, not enough of a good thing, or toxicity, too much of a bad thing, is the cause of all disease. Ever in the human existence, every disease that's ever happened and ever will happen, go back to those two things, toxicity and deficiency. Okay? So today we're talking about toxicity, meaning bad things coming in, and then in order to complete that conversation, we're also going to be talking about deficiency, which is what do you need to appropriately detoxify? Cool? So we'll move on now, so we don't have to stay here the whole night. So this is all the stuff that is in here to create a sense of urgency in you, because if you don't do this, nobody will. And it's like watching somebody stand on the train tracks, inevitably waiting to get hit by the train. Like if we don't implement these strategies to detoxify our lifestyle, disease is coming for you. It's just a matter of time. I don't know, is it 2 years? Is it 20 years? Is it 2 weeks? Right? Everyone knows, right? Someone who has cancer. Everyone. And someone has probably lost, everyone in here has experienced the pain of that. The problem with it is, it's hard to identify the cause of it. Why? Because there are so many factors at play, okay? Toxicity is a big causal underlying factor with cancer, right? And what I want to say about it is this: we never know it's there until it's already there, right? So we've done workshops on this in the past, and it's well known. It takes over 10 years for a tumor to get big enough for us to actually see it on a scan, right? But for 10 years, the body's building disease. So the whole point of this conversation is, if you can minimize everything that's in your control, you're going to minimize the odds of this stuff happening. Can you make it perfect? No. Is there a one-size-fits-all solution to these diseases? No. But the one-size-fits-all solution is you have to look at every aspect of their life and figure out deficient, toxic, deficient, right? And then balance the ecosystem. So it gets really complicated really fast. But the point is this: how are we supposed to see cancer rates going down ever if this is true? And we're not. We're seeing cancer every year is going up, right? We've been waging war on it. Autoimmune diseases, going up. Sensitivities. Who works in a school? No one? More sensitivities than ever when it comes to kids and schools and lunches and food sensitivities and allergies and reactions, and it's getting worse, right? How many people in this room went to school and knew a friend that had like a food allergy? Right? It's pretty rare, but you maybe know like 1 or 2 kids. Now it's more like, hey, what's your food allergies? Like everyone has them. What are yours? Like even the language has changed around it, which is not a good thing. It's a good thing that we're like aware of it, but it's a bad thing that everyone has a sensitivity, right? So what is a toxin? A chemical or substance that we encounter that damages or interferes with our body, whether immediately. Like alcohol is a toxin. You could have a drink and immediately feel the impact. Or the lotion you use every day has toxins in it, and you don't notice it until your hormones are wrecked in 20 years. So it can be very subtle, okay? You're being lied to, and what I mean by this is, in many ways, specifically, we're being told that these are approved food additives. They're safe. They're safe. This is an approved utensil. This is an approved lotion. This is an approved chemical process. This company's being responsible with the way they're eliminating their waste, right? Until 20 years later, we realize. And so the current, you could look at it in decades. You have the Industrial Revolution where all the Great Lakes died and those toxins and pollutants. We tried to clean some of that up. Then we came into like lead and other heavy metal and mercury toxicities. So if you're about age 40 to 70, that you kind of grew up in that lead and mercury and asbestos exposures and all these other ones, right? Then there's like chemicals of warfare, like Agent Orange we're seeing in the news. All these people that were safely exposed to this that's killing people. Our current setup right now is glyphosate is the big battle we're fighting. Glyphosate is a toxin that's used as a weed killer, plant killer, herbicide, pesticide, and it's everywhere. It's in our rain in the Midwest. It's that deeply penetrated into our ecosystem. These are GMO foods, Monsanto foods that just can handle excessive amounts of these pesticides, soaks into the groundwater. Where does that go? Into the rivers, into the oceans, into the lakes, into the rain, it's everywhere, right? So we're being lied to because it's convenient if you're a multi-billion-dollar company to sell this toxin, and no one gets sick the day they encounter it, so prove it that we're making you sick. And that's basically the conversation. So you got to be your own advocate. And then us in this room and other people around the nation that are doing this talk tonight, we become the advocates that vote with our dollars, and then we stand up and we email the politicians and we talk to them about this stuff and create some noise around it. Otherwise, it never changes. 80 commonly used substances are known endocrine disruptors. Does everybody know what an endocrine disruptor is? Hormone disruptor. It's another way of saying it. So an endocrine organ is any organ in the body that's releasing an effector, a hormone out into the bloodstream to tell the body what to do. So endocrine disruptors are all over the place. And what are the number one cancers we see? Endocrine. Endocrine is the number one. So in females, hormonal cancers look like breast, uterine, ovarian. And in men, prostate, testicular. These are the most common cancers you'll see. And this is one of the reasons why. If we're inundated with toxins, so I took this from Dr. Jockers, who's a chiropractor, went to the same school as me, but this is the bucket theory, and I just want this kind of in your mind's eye because this is the best way to kind of relate. So there's no way that we can completely eliminate toxicity, and that's what this is showing. Picture your human body like a bucket, which is receiving toxins, okay? And then imagine, especially for sake of this conversation, there's a hole in the bucket, and the size of the hole and the rate at which the toxins are coming out is up to your lifestyle and your health, right? So two people can be exposed to the same toxic load, but if this one can eliminate it better because they're healthier, their bucket's going to be a little bit smaller, filled. Does that make you guys with me? Where this person over here, bad detoxifier, they're exposed to the same level as this person, they're going to get sick quicker. Does that make sense? So this illustration is just showing when you're healthy, there's going to be minimal toxicity and your body can keep up with the load. In this example, building disease, meaning, oh man, we're getting close to overflowing. We're not there yet. This is where you start usually getting symptoms, and then this is full-blown disease. Okay, and that's where the body has reached its breaking point. It's overloaded with toxicity to the point where the liver and the nervous system and the organs and the hormones are imbalanced and the body's not working right. So that's disease. What's disease? A lack of ease, a lack of proper function, imbalance. We go back to this ecosystem concept, right? It's the same thing. We could poison that plant in the back of the room a little bit and it can survive. But there's a breaking point where the bucket overflows, and that's where disease or death or chronic issues happen. So just kind of we'll be referring back to that kind of bucket theory and just understanding that your bucket might be full today, but you can get it lower in the future. Or you might be doing really good right now, and then you have to go through something and it fills up, and then so it's in flux. Everything's in flux and imbalance. Here's the symptoms that you see when toxicity becomes a problem. And I'm going to hit on a few of them that are major ones. We've already been talking about cancer, neurological issues. Not a lot of people understand this, but when we see brain issues like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's or dementia, inflammation in the brain, not everyone says right away, oh man, what kind of toxicity is this person exposed to? But this is one of the biggest ways that toxicity manifests is neurodegenerative diseases. One of the big things you'll see is like balance and coordination will begin to suffer. That's a big red flag. Autoimmune diseases. He's mentioned thyroid disorders, Hashimoto's autoimmune, skin issues, fibromyalgias, hormone imbalances, reproductive issues. When the body is too toxic, we're not able to reproduce. So infertility issues sometimes too. This is more like if you have these issues or know somebody who has these issues, toxicity has to become a number one priority for them. And we mentioned food allergies, that's on the list. Diabetes, blood sugar imbalances, weight loss resistance is a huge one, meaning the number of people that we meet in this office who we check their diet, we check their supplements, we start working on their spine and nervous system, and they're struggling to lose weight until we detoxify them. And we'll get into that in a little bit here. So this is one of the big take-homes on the note sheet here. The top 6 toxic exposures in your daily life are these items right here. So if you're leaving here today, you got to know this list and then begin the process. And hopefully by the end of the next 3-4 months, you've combed through these products and selected out the things that need to be taken out. On the back of this sheet here, I'm going to take a brief second here. We're going to stop and do this before you leave tonight, but you'll have to reference back to this list. I want you to write down 3 things that you're committed to changing over the next 3 months. So we'll do that at the end, but I'm saying one of them can be like, I'm going to clean out my personal care products. One of them could be my household cleaners. One of them could be, so I'm just giving you some ideas there, but because this is one of those things that falls to the bottom. It falls to the bottom of the to-do list when you get home very quickly.
What does it mean, air and water?
Okay, so we're going to go through all these in details, but I'll read them to you. Personal care products, personal hygiene, household cleaners, plastics is number 3, processed foods is number 4, overuse of pills, and then air and water. And we'll elaborate here pretty quickly as we go through these. And then this one I have written out for you as well, but these are the top 5 steps to eliminating these. And so we're going to kind of go through them in order, meaning I'm going to go through the 6 exposures, and then we're going to go through the 5 steps to eliminate them, and then we'll go into some more advanced things at the end here. But cut out processed foods, clean up your home environment. We're going to talk about stress and peace management. We're going to talk about sweat, and then we're going to talk about the nervous system, okay? So step 1 is cutting out processed foods. Processed foods. Most of you guys know that processed foods are not good for you, but I think that there's an understanding there that has to become front of mind when you're making the buying decisions, okay? I see this with my own family, meaning like me and my wife and my family, and especially even more stringently now that we have kids, because their development is at stake here. We have like a line that we don't ever cross, okay? And we find like there's a lot of laxity with that, with a lot of my family members, even though I teach them this stuff. And I think the reason is because like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Or, oh, I mean, we ate this stuff growing up and we turned out okay. Or there's like a mentality there where what it doesn't take into account is the fact that there's bioaccumulation. In that the foods aren't the same as when you were a kid. They're not. Like the best example I can give you is until 1985, McDonald's fried their French fries in lamb tallow.
What's that?
It's lamb fat. It's a really healthy, saturated fat that doesn't oxidize very quickly. So you could go eat French fries at McDonald's until 1985, and they actually weren't that bad. They really weren't that bad for you. Now they're fried in canola oil, vegetable oil, polyunsaturated fatty acids. And these polyunsaturated fats oxidize rapidly. They're destroyed by the time usually they even get to your house in the bottle before you even heat them, and then they fry and they fry and they fry and they fry and they fry. So imagine what happens to anything when you cook it 6,000 times, right? And that's what ends up happening in these oils. So when you say like, oh, we used to eat fries all the time growing up, we turned out okay. Number 1, did you turn out okay? Number 2 is, it's not the same. Are you sure? Are you sure you're okay? And we know this is true. You look around and, the amount of medications and the amount of chronic disease and the amount of surgical interventions. And so my point is with this is you've got to draw a line. I would urge you to put this as number 1 on your list of action steps is cutting out processed foods. Okay? Most common toxic foods, processed foods. What's a processed food? It's not a God food. That's the easiest way to talk about it. Did it grow on earth? Did somebody pick it and now you're eating it? Or was it an animal that was raised humanely and now you're eating it? Otherwise, it's processed. If it's in a bag, if it's in a wrapper, if it's in a box that's 3 years old, fried foods, packaged foods, GMOs, artificials, sweeteners, flavors, all that stuff. Okay? Very, very, very good resources on the Maximize Living webpage about the advanced plan, which we're going to talk about, and recipes to implement. So the resources are there. My advice around it is you're making the wrong decision based on convenience often, okay? That's when I'm most stressed about it. I just don't eat if I'm in it, you know what I mean? I'm like, there's nothing to eat, okay, I'm just not gonna eat. And we'll talk about that later too. But the problem with it is you're making the convenient decision because you didn't prepare. And it takes just as much work to prepare. Do I prepare for everything in my life? No. Do we do pretty good with prepping our food? Yeah. And surrounding yourself with the food? So my advice to you is find 3 recipes that you like for each meal and your snacks. And if you can do that, 3 recipes, each meal, and snacks, you'll never mess up. Because you get into a rhythm after about 3 to 4 weeks where you know what to shop for, you know how to make it, you know how much to make, you know how much leftovers you get, you know how you like to reheat it, you know how you can kind of cross-reheat stuff, whatever you want to do with it. But pick 3 recipes for each meal that you really like. So green juice for breakfast, a smoothie, or some eggs cooked in ghee. Done. There's your breakfast option. You know what I mean? And then do that for your snacks, do that for your dinners. And then rotate them when you get bored. But you're really not eating more than 3 anyways right now. You know? If you're going to Culver's every night, you have no variety in your diet. And then people complain about the variety. There's no variety. So the advanced plan is what we teach here for healing. And if you're entering a season of detoxification, which you should be intermittently doing, then you should be doing the advanced plan. What is the advanced plan? The advanced plan is a low-fat, high-fat, moderate protein, low-sugar diet. And what that means is the majority of your foods are healthy fats, vegetables, and low-sugar fruits. That's the easiest way to explain it. What you're eliminating from the diet are refined carbohydrates. You're not eating a bagel for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, and pasta for dinner. That's a high-sugar diet, which is great for getting inflamed and gaining weight and toxicity. The opposite of the advanced plan would be a smoothie for breakfast, a huge salad for lunch, and a nice piece of meat and some veggies for dinner. That's like an advanced plan day in the life, okay? The rules surrounding it are, if you're going to eat meat, they have to be quality meats. They have to be quality meats. And these are how you can find quality meats. If you have a pen, write down vintagemeadows.farm, F-A-R-M. That is a great resource, local to Chicago. They're located in Indiana, but they deliver all over Chicago for high-quality dairy, meats, all that stuff. Even seasonal vegetables, we use them weekly, and we pick up. Check them out. You know, Liz brought up the question, you know, Elizabeth, you're like, how do we even know what food you're getting? What quality is it? Is it organic? Is it not organic? Is it, you know, is it grass-fed? Is it not? The only way to know is you got to actually start developing these relationships with farmers. And so that's kind of where I've gotten with it more, is instead of buying like the grass-fed beef at Aldi, which is fine, you just don't know like what farm was it from. I don't know. Did they kind of mix it all in? I don't know. You know, but I'm going to do that second best if I don't have any grass-fed beef from these guys. You follow me? So there's kind of tiers of how intense you can get with this. But again, it's a process where you're getting more of the stuff in place. But grass-fed meats should be huge. Wild-caught fish and free-range poultry. Poultry eat insects, so don't buy grass-fed chicken. They don't eat grass. And then eliminating refined carbohydrates and sugar. These are the breads, the pastas, the cookies, the crackers, if you're on the advanced plan, even rice. Even rice is something you don't want to have. Yep, so this is healing diet, 90 days. I don't like where my health is at. I want to make it better. This is the diet, okay? Bioaccumulation is the reason why we have to eat healthy animals, because they're eating, just like us, and accumulating toxins. The longer the animal lives, the more toxins they're going to store in their tissues, their bones, their muscles, their fat, which is what we're eating from them. So if you eat something that's been fed garbage, you're inherently eating the garbage that's in their tissues if you eat their tissues. Does that make sense? So it becomes really important to eat healthy animals. And it's also the best thing for our ecosystem to eat these healthy animals. Why? Because 60% of the antibiotics we use in this country are going to animals that are raised inhumanely. They're also eating all this garbage GMO crops that we're using glyphosate to grow. So the whole industry relies on drugs and bad food for these animals to keep the meat costs cheap, right? That's why you got to go to these smaller farms like that. Vintage Meadows is really cool. And there's other ones that you can meet at farmers markets and things like that. But CSAs are great. Yeah, community supported agriculture. CSAs.org. Yep. And those are all farms that say like, hey, we're doing it. If you want a piece of the crop, then they have like a monthly membership or an annual membership. And I've done that with vegetables. I haven't ever done that with meats. They do it with both.
Mine, I get my fish, my meats all through him, but he...
And they barter. They barter,
with
yeah.
the other farmers that have all that.
Yep. They'll grow the veggies. They'll trade for the fruit. They'll trade for the fit. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. And then that's where we get into regenerative farming, which is a whole nother tangent. But that's where we're moving with Max Living in our pure paleo, our pure path. We have a paleo protein we're working with that with. But our pure path promise is what we call it, is that we're starting to source nutrients from these farms to make our supplements out of. Because it matters, and it's ultimately like, for the longevity of it, the only way to do it. And the beautiful thing about it is the tide raises all ships, as the saying goes, right? Meaning, the better this farm does, the better their food is, the better it is for you, the better it is for the environment, and you can actually start regenerating all this stuff. So that's where it's going, but that's kind of a side tangent. These are nutrients that are essential for your body to detoxify. So let me back up one step. We eat a toxin, it comes into our body, it's absorbed in the small intestines, and the body redistributes it. Depending on the toxin, they'll end up in different places. Heavy metals have an affinity for bones, okay? Endocrine disruptors often stay in the blood or they'll go in the fat. So these end up in different parts of our body. So here's the overall picture. We have the body as an ecosystem. It's always detoxifying. We're built with an inborn ability to detoxify. Why? Because we create our own toxic waste, metabolic waste. Everything we eat, we create waste. Every cell in our body has mitochondria that create energy so we can live and move and churn and shoot nerve impulses around. And by creating energy, we create waste. And these are called free radicals or hydroxy radicals. You guys have heard of this, oxidative stress? Does any of this sound familiar? The best example would be if you're running your car, there's waste, exhaust. Our cells have exhaust. And so our body has antioxidant pathways, right? Who's heard the term antioxidant? An antioxidant covers up an oxidant or free radical, okay? So basically, it's a detoxifier for our own cellular exhaust. Does that make sense? So how do we support the innate system, the inborn system, is with nutrients like this. It's with a healthy diet. It's with healthy fats. It's with good movement, those 5 things I listed. So step 1 is, are you bringing some of these things into your body? So magnesium is a big one because it can help bind and eliminate some waste, especially in the gut. Magnesium oxide, you'll find in our detox. Actually, all of this you're going to find in the detox system, and it's because of these reasons that they need to be in there for the body to detoxify properly. Magnesium oxide, I do not recommend you take in high doses because it can cause diarrhea, because it'll bring water to the colon. Water to the colon is necessary to have good bowel movements, which is another form of detox. So we eliminate toxins through our bowels, through our breath, through our skin, and those are the 3 main pathways. Those are the 3 main releases, and through the urine. Okay? So magnesium's a good gut supporter. Who's ever taken chlorella? Chlorella, yeah. So chlorella is a sea vegetable, much like spirulina. They're kind of like cousins, blue-green algae. And what they're famous for is they have nutrients in there that make them green, that are high, and they bring oxygen to the cell, basically. They're good cell oxygenators. And chlorella is most famous. It has to be broken cell. You'll always find that in our supplements. It has to be broken cell because they've been shown as kind of like a moderate binder for heavy metals even. They're not a really, really strong binder that we have to kind of go off the deep end for. And that's more of like you run some testing and have some clinical considerations before you start doing these type of binders. But chlorella is a safe, easy to take. It actually is something that should be done almost daily, depending on your routine and your exposures. But the body will take in chlorella. We don't break it down. The plant cell wall stays pretty much intact, and it can bind and bring things into the gut, and you poop it out. That's chlorella. Spirulina kind of falls in that category. High antioxidant properties and detox. Superoxide dismutase is an enzyme that's made by your liver. It is a free radical scavenger. It protects the cell from damaging the DNA. That's in the detox. Psyllium husk or other fibers. Has anyone ever supplemented with fiber? Right? Why do we want fiber? Well, what do we need fiber for? Fiber, number one, is it's to feed our microbiome. So these type of fibers we don't break down. They end up going into the bowels and our bacteria eat them. Psyllium husk is known. Fiber also binds in the gut some of our waste and helps us shuttle it out to the toilet. And it helps bring water to the colon for better, smoother bowel movements. Fiber. Activated charcoal. So activated charcoal can hold up to like 100 times its molecular weight. It's a charged particle, and it can bind toxins. So we have it in the daily detox system. We have it in the system at 100 milligram dose, which is kind of like a mild dose of it, because the detox system is formulated for like a regular long-term use as opposed to like a really high intensity use. For example, somebody overdoses on a medication. They go to the ER. One of the methods of detoxifying them is activated charcoal. But that would be closer to like 2,000 milligram dose into the gut, right? So when you're looking to just minimize cellular toxicity and inflammation, 100 milligrams in the daily detox is going to bind particles, heavy metals, charged particles, radiation compounds, garbage molecules in the water system that are getting in, and binds them and eliminates them. So that's what that's for. And then protein. So who knew that protein gets such a like bros at the gym rap? You know what I mean? So proteins are strings of amino acids, which are the building blocks of life. Amino acids are the building blocks of life. Our cell uses amino acids to make stuff. So the reason we take protein in is so we can disassemble it into the Lego pieces and make whatever our body wants with it. Okay? So taking a protein is like buying a Lego kit. It has all the parts in there, and then we can take it apart. You can build something else with it. Whey protein specifically is a complete protein. And then we have a plant protein that I'll use intermittently as well, which is a complete protein. It's been put together to give you all the amino acids, so you have all the building blocks that you need. Interestingly enough, the liver is the main detox organ for processing toxicity in the body. The way that it works is using B vitamins and magnesium and selenium and all these micronutrients we get from our diet. It takes these fat-soluble toxins that our body wants to keep in the fat, and it makes them into water-soluble, meaning they can be immersed in water, submersed in, so we can urinate them and poop them out. The way the body does that, it uses 5 or 6 of these most important amino acids. So protein is one of the most important things to make sure you're getting enough of on a daily basis to make sure your liver can do its job. Okay? You'll also see, like on our actual detox system box, that has in the cellular detox, it's all liver support. And there's 3 amino acids on there that are combined to make glutathione, which is another massive detoxifier. The problem with glutathione is you can't really supplement it because it's an end product. You could intravenously do it, but it's not going to get into your cell. You could take liposomal and it might get into the cell if it survives through the digestive system. But so the best way to make glutathione is to give the body the ingredients, right? This is always the saying I have around this is if you make it, don't take it. If you make it, don't take it. Of course, if you're missing your thyroid, you have to take thyroid hormone, you gotta understand. But generally speaking, you don't want to take things that your body already makes. You're interfering with the body's own balancing. The body is way better at it than you could ever be. Way better. Right? You'd have to know right now what your glutathione levels are intracellular. You have no idea. How do you know how much to take? I don't know. So the good news is you take the amino acids, your body will use it and make it. Has anyone taken N-acetylcysteine or heard about it? That's a glutathione precursor for detox, anti-aging, anti-inflammatory. We're using a lot in here after people were getting sick in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, you know what I mean? So helping restore symptoms from being sick. So that's the soliloquy on nutrients, detoxifying nutrients. So most of these you're going to have to take intentionally. Chlorella and spirulina, add them to smoothies or you'll get them in the detox system. Superoxide dismutase is kind of hard to come by, but we have two supplements that use it. One is the detox and the other one is daily defense. So if anyone's ever used daily defense and you're like, man, I feel like less achy and less inflamed, that's why this is in there. Psyllium husk, you can supplement that separately or add that to smoothies or take it at night or help with constipation. Charcoal you can do separately as well. That's in the detox. And then protein. So what I did is I organized this into like what I thought would be the most generally applicable strategy for someone who's looking to do like, I've never done a detox or I did one last year and it's been a while. This is the bundle. And so the bundle is set up this way for a reason. It's really simple. It's easy to implement. My own wife, we were just talking yesterday, we were talking about B vitamins at the dinner table, and she's like, I haven't been taking a B vitamin in a month, I forgot. And I'm like, why not? You know you need, she's like, I can only do like 8. My limit is 8, you know what I mean, like supplements. She's like, I reached my limit, I can't like stay focused on all this stuff. So the number one thing is what I like about it, our detox system is like none other that I've been able to find. And quite honestly, just so you guys understand like how I do this stuff, I would never recommend something to you guys that I don't take, you know what I mean? And then I think my other weird thing that I do is I'm always looking to find one that's better, to like disprove, you know what I mean? I'm like, there's got to be a better one, you know? So I'm waiting, and if you ever see a better one, then I'll get rid of this one. But the thing I love about it is it's a 2-part. Everything else I find is liver support, just liver, which is good. But this is a 2-part, so cell detox, it's a 2-part. Cell you take in the morning, that's this one. And that has the spirulina, the superoxide dismutase. It's got catalase, another liver enzyme. It's got chlorella in there. It's got dandelion root extract, milk thistle for the liver. It's got MSM, which is a sulfur donor. So sulfur is one of the most important compounds for liver phase 2 detox. So it's just giving your body all the stuff for the liver to be like, oh, cool. And then the liver can say, I got this, I need that, I need this, I need that. Because you go back to the bucket theory, the worst scenario you could be in is you're being exposed to toxins, most people, and you're lacking the nutrients that you need to detoxify. So the liver's like, I'm here, I'm alive, I have good nerve supply, I'm getting adjusted, but I don't have enough sulfur, I don't have enough, acetyl-L-cysteine, I don't have enough of these nutrients to clean out how much you're giving me. Does that make sense? So that's the whole theory behind this is minimize what you're bringing in and maximize or optimize your own body ability to push it out. That's the strategy. And you do that as long as you can, as long as you're alive. And you're going to minimize toxicity in the body. So yeah, you'll see in here there's carnitine, glycine, and there's glutamine. Cysteine, glycine, and glutamine are the 3 building blocks of glutathione. So those are your Lego pieces. And then at night, you take the body detox. And this is the binders and the fiber and the magnesium and glucomannan. Have you ever seen that one in there? You've heard of that one? It's like a fiber binder. Okay. Yeah, it's good for blood sugar. So what they did is it's magnesium oxide from Dead Sea chloride. Like these are naturally derived magnesium oxide salts. It's got activated charcoal in there, fenugreek, peppermint, and ginger for the gut, and fennel seed. So the way you do this is I do this annually twice a year, at least. And if I'm ever feeling like achy, lethargic, I don't want to work out, it's hard to get up in the morning, then I know I need to do this. And what I'll do is I put it in my bathroom on the counter. So I have them like this, and I flip it when I take it. And then you know what I mean? That's how I do it. Because then I'll come home some days and I'll be like, did I take the cell this morning? You get lost in it. I don't know why. Somehow you get lost in it. So that's how I do it. And then when I take my body at night, I flip this one back up. So I just keep myself. And then there's times I'll miss this one and I'll take 4 of them the next day. And you can make up for if you miss a dose. Because it's 2 of these in the morning, 2 of these at night. If you have extenuating circumstances, you could always talk to me because there's ways to slow it down and spread it out, cutting the dose in half, 1 a day and 1 a day. And then we have a like super fast one. For example, I had a lady in here who just had an MRI with contrast. So they put a metal, gadolinium, in the bloodstream, and it stays there. Because we test people, we do testing for toxicity, and it'll pop on there really high levels, and I'll ask them, they say, oh, I had 6 MRIs surrounding like a uterus or whatever surgery. Boom, boom, boom. So they put the contrast in 6 times, and it's all hiding in the cells.
How long does that stay in you?
Forever, unless you do something to get it out. Because the body, what the body does, the body's smart. It's going to sequester it, is the word. It's going to hide it. It's going to stash it over here, like you do with stuff at your house, and just tuck it in the corner to keep it away from the brain and the nervous system, and you know what I mean? So that's what ends up happening. And this is why people will feel like garbage when they start to detoxify that stuff. You have to do it the right way, because if you're just kind of teasingly pulling it into the bloodstream, the body has to re-sequester it. So it gets kind of tricky. And that's why you got to do a 2-part, because if you just did this for like a month, you're going to stimulate liver detox, but are you binding it in the gut? Are you going poop enough to get it out? Are you getting it out of the bloodstream and into the toilet, or you know what I mean? Or out through your sweat? So that's where I love this, is it's already set up for you. It's already set up. And then the protein comes in to support the body's ability to heal the cell, number 1, and then give the amino acids that the phase 2 liver needs. So
How many months do you suggest you do it?
So let me say it this way. The other thing I like about this is you will feel a difference on it. Most people feel a difference in a few days. Clarity, energy, sleep, bowels, those type of things. The longer it takes you to feel a little bit better on it, the longer I recommend you take it. So the question is, how long do I take that for? Well, we could run a test on you and see how toxic you are and then retest it. That's the most thorough way to do it. The other way is just like, I've been alive for 40 years and I've never done this. Like, I need to do this. And then you can kind of gauge how you feel on it. But you will reach kind of like a break-free point where like, man, I feel incredible. And then that might be a month. I'd say average is probably 2 to 3 months the first time you do it. 2 to 3 months the first time you do it, and you might feel a little tired the first week.
Is that a month supply?
That's a 1 month. Yeah, that's a 1 month.
What's the shelf life on that? Because I think I might have something like that at home, but I don't know how.
This one's good for another year, but I mean, that's so when they third-party test it, they have to say, I said 100 milligrams, and I'm telling you there's 100 milligrams. That's how it works with that. So the shelf life is, it's not like it's going to make you sick, but you could diminish quality over time. Everything's going to oxidize. So the dandelion root extract in there, the milk thistle, it's like aging. It's in a sealed container with an oxygen desiccant, so it's going to be really slow. But the short answer is, I have an old one that I found when I moved, and I took it.
There you go.
Yeah, it's like 4 years old in my cabinet.
When the detox system first came out, I took it every day.
Yeah.
Then they came out with a little info that says, oh, you can't even take it, like the 30 minutes before.
Yes.
No supplements, but I was just, and now I'm very confused about how much I should take. I mean, it sounds like you said you do it
Twice a year I do it, yeah.
The whole system.
Yep.
For twice a
I do
year.
1 box twice a year, and that's it. But yeah, what they were seeing was it was binding medications people were taking at night. So that's where that little info slip came in, right? So people's blood levels of their medications were off because they're binding. Because guess what one of the main toxins people are exposed to is? Medications.
But I wasn't taking it.
No, I know you're not, but...
But it will interfere with all the other supplements that you...
So for that, I wrote on here, you'll see later, detox bundle use right here is what we're talking about now. So when you take the body detox specifically, the charcoal, the nighttime one, take that at least an hour away from anything else, just to be safe. Yeah, just to be safe. But to your point, you don't need to take it every day. It was originally created as the daily detox. Originally, that's how it was made. I don't take it every day because I feel like my exposure is low enough that I don't need to take it every day. I think, I just had this discussion with someone, I think if I worked at a hair salon and we're like spraying products all day and I was in there for 8 hours, I'd probably take it every day. I think if I worked like industrially, building houses and cutting drywall and, you know what I mean? Like, so I think based on your exposure, you can use it daily. The dosage is low enough. It's not going to cause any problems. All you're doing is taking care of your liver, making sure it has what it needs, and then binding waste in the gut. So you can totally do it daily, but I don't think you need to.
Okay, would it be useful, like, say we go out to eat,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not healthy choices?
Mm-hmm.
Is that something then I should do that?
Yep.
Detox, then after that, go.
Especially if it's like pesticide laden and bad oils. Digestive enzymes is what I use, and you could do this for like 2 days later or whatever. You could do like a site, you know what I mean by that? Yeah, you can kind of come on and off it.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's good to know.
That's a great question. I mean, that's the stuff I want to talk about, is like how to use this.
What about the Max Cleanse?
So the Max Cleanse is basically a lighter version of this. Max Cleanse is even lighter.
Because like she said, sometimes if I go out and I know I'm not eating right, I would take that.
Yeah. So the Max Cleanse would be like taking, so you go out to eat like that, you could take one of the cell, one of the body at the same time, if you want to do it that way. That way you're getting the liver support and the gut support at the same time, at the meal time. That's what I would do.
After.
Yeah. Yeah, you get home and you're like, oh man, I really regret that. Or, oh man, I don't regret it, but I want to stay healthy. That's what you should be saying, yeah. I don't regret that at all. I would do it again given the opportunity. But, so this is a detox smoothie here. This is something that we started doing in my house very recently, bringing in green bananas into our smoothie, okay? Has anyone heard of resistant starch? So the term resistant starch means a starch is a long carbohydrate. Resistant means it's not getting broken down in our stomach or our small intestines. So this whole green banana, green, not like kind of yellow, like green, would be optimizing resistant starch. And then as the enzymes work on the starch in the banana, it turns yellow and gets sweet. So you take that resistant starch, send it down to your large intestines, and your healthy bacteria eat that in the gut. So it's a way to help grow your microbiome by feeding your microbiome. The other one that you can use is, I know we're not doing a gut seminar, but everything, it's like, it's all gut brain, exactly. The other one that you can use is cooked and cooled white rice. It's like a little chemistry experiment. Has to be cooked, then cooled. And you can reheat it, but the cooking and cooling process creates a resistant starch where it literally minimizes blood sugar effects. It's like keto rice. That's another one you could use. But so baby salad greens, spring mix, whatever you want in there, blueberries, strawberries, a green banana. Then you fill it up enough with coconut milk or water, or you can get some raw milk from that farm if you join their group. And then you blend that till it's pureed, however you like it. Then you add your grass-fed whey or the plant protein and mix it on a low setting, like just to integrate it. Because the thing I forgot to talk about, we talked about the detox, the protein falls into the category animal products. Animal products have to come from healthy animals. So that whey protein, it's a non-denatured, meaning it was never heated up. They cold process it. It's a whey concentrate, so it keeps intact the enzymes that come naturally in whey. It keeps intact the protein structure. They're not heated and messed up. So it's a super high quality protein. Why would you throw it in a blender and blast it for 5 minutes? You know what I mean? And you're going to damage some of it. So I kind of treat it gently like that. It integrates really easy. It mixes really easy. So that's the detox smoothie there. Why is it a detox smoothie? Tons of antioxidants from the strawberries and blueberries. You're getting green roughage and fiber from the bananas and the greens that bind and help move the bowels and clear all that stuff out of you, right? And then you're getting protein for the liver. So it's got everything you need. Supplements. The quality of your supplements matter. The two biggest offenders, I would say, would be omega-3s. You got to be really careful with omega-3s. They're polyunsaturated fats, they oxidize, and they're bad for you when you're taking bad ones. You're better off taking none than a bad one. The second thing you'll see is weird additives, caking agents, fillers. I mean, you've seen this abound. You know, she works with supplements. So it's like cost cutting. Generally speaking, in the supplement world, you get what you pay for. Is there an exception to that? I'm sure there is, right? But the $4 supplement is probably worth about $4. It's actually probably worth about 4 cents, you know. So just be very aware. That food additives list that I gave you, there's 50 items on there. You'll see some of those in there. Artificial colors. I mean, I've been in a pinch where I'm out of town and we run to like a Dwayne Reed or a Walgreens and I'm trying to find a magnesium. I can't even find like a magnesium that doesn't have weird fillers or like, why did you put red in there? Why is there red dye in them? Like unnecessary. So you're adding toxicity, you're better off without it. So just be aware when you're going through your supplements and running out of them, it's worth your time and energy to simplify, kind of like my wife was saying, I'm good for 8, that's it. As I open the drawer. But again, they're supplements to a healthy lifestyle. They're not drugs, they're not cure-alls, they're supplements. So we can ensure like I'm getting this grass-fed protein from a good farm and it's good, it's clean, right? That's the point of it. Just be careful, especially with proteins. Added in sucralose, these artificial flavors and sweeteners, and you'll just find a lot of garbage in there. This is the pure. You'll see some of the branding changing in here as we move over to this. Everything you see with this label on it in the office in the future means this is chiropractors. We own this thing. It's doctor owned, and then with seed to soil is the language we're using with it because literally we're visiting like. Here's where they're getting the bone broth protein from. Like, here's what the cows are eating. It's a regenerative farm. We want to spend money with these people making these supplements because they're getting it in the right place. So if you see that label, that's why it's in that. We don't have time to go through that. Okay, now we're into the details here. Check your home, air quality. Do you guys want me to speed up on this or slow down? Speed up.
I'm good.
Okay, so air quality. The take-home points are written on the sides here, you'll see, but ventilate your house regularly. Why? Indoor air quality is much worse than outdoor. Indoor is much worse than outdoor. There's a lot of reasons why. These are all the reasons. Cooking gases and bad furniture and mold and radon and fire retardants like this on your furniture. If you're looking for a great place to get a fire retardant-free bed, there's a guy in LaGrange Highlands that makes them. It's called the Quality Sleep Shop. Quality Sleep Shop. They make them there. You know, so you could ask them to make pretty much whatever you want. They've got an organic, it's called My Green Mattress, using like natural latex and wool, and there's no flame retardants on there. And then they have like spring-based pocket coil stuff if you want to do that. But it's on Willow Springs and 55th Street. Yep. Yeah, he's awesome. We have multiple beds from him. Like my kids' beds, crib bed, our bed, and their price is like half of what you could find like online. Like, and you're not spending $5,000 on a bed there. He's probably half of that for like a king size bed. The other thing I want to mention on this: change your air filters on your systems at home. If you ever have construction or any kind of remodeling done, I recommend throwing your house fan on and letting the system run, and buy a bunch of filters and kind of run through a couple filters every day. Pull that stuff out of the air. There's really cool technology. Long story short, we just had one of these. It's called a Remy Halo installed in my house. Really cool. Somebody here brought it to my attention. He does it. And it puts hydrogen peroxide, like low grade H2O2 and ozone into the air in your house. It's really cool. So we've been enjoying that. That's called a Remy Halo. If you have questions on that, I can answer those. It's not really. We'll be here all night talking about that. Yeah, pretty cool. Water quality. 3 take-home points on water quality. Most of the stuff that's in your water is not being tested for. I pulled down the Romeoville water report. The 5 things they're testing for are within normal, right? There's enough lead in there. There's enough chlorine. You know what I mean? It's tolerable. You don't want any of that stuff in there. Number 2 is they're not looking at pesticides. They're not looking at drug metabolites What happens when somebody takes their medication, the body metabolizes it, and then they pee it in the toilet, goes back in the water system, nobody's pulling it out. All that stuff's in there. You know, so the hormone disruptors, there's construction materials in there, these forever chemicals from 3M you guys have heard about? No? Question?
Yeah, what about a reverse osmosis system?
You nailed it. So reverse osmosis, that's what I use at my point of use, like in our kitchen. Mm-hmm. That's what we use. And then I have a whole house filter for my water and everything like that, like showers, everything else in the house.
Okay.
We have a house with lead water service, so all our piping is lead. I can see it coming, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like I had to do it. Yeah. So we got this whole house system from B&H. I don't know, you guys have met Dan Haley before. He's been to the seminars over the years. They did it for me. They have a whole house they have it's like 100 stage basically carbon filter. It's like this big. It goes in the basement. And then there's a softener you can use too if you want soft water. And then we do a reverse osmosis under the sink. Yeah. If you're not going to do that, I would buy spring water in glass bottles. Yep, spring water in glass bottles. Mountain Valley is the best. Yeah, Mountain Valley comes in a green bottle. You guys have seen that one at the store before? You can get in your house the cooler with the little flippers, right? And they'll bring you a 5-gallon glass jug. I think it's like $30 a month. You could do that. That's not bad.
From Mountain Valley?
It's more, you think? Mountain Valley. Maybe it's like a loss leader. Maybe it's your first month is $30 or something. It's probably 60. 50 for the 5 gallons? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you use that one? Yeah. That's like one of the best drinking waters ever.
Which one?
Mountain Valley. Mountain Valley. Yeah. Hinkley Springs, it's one of their brands they'll deliver. Okay, so these are the 3 most toxic rooms in your house: the bathroom, the kitchen, and the laundry room. I've made it very, very simple. I'm missing one sheet that has all that on there. I have a handout you guys will get before you leave. It's got all the kitchen swaps recommendations and bathroom and laundry room, okay? The big things are the things you put on your face and skin soak into the bloodstream, okay? The things you're washing your clothes with also touch your skin, and then the things you're cooking on enter your body. These are very important, okay? EWG is the best place to go to vet things as you're buying them, okay? So I wouldn't necessarily go home and pull everything out and look at it and be like, oh my gosh, that's the right thing to do. Are you going to probably do that? Probably not. But what you should do is when you run out of this lotion, replace it with a good one. When you run out of your toothpaste, replace it with a better one. When you want to look for sunscreen on the trip you're going on, go on here and look at sunscreens, okay? Or just wear a long sleeve shirt and go in the shade. It's the safest thing you could do. Because there's tons of toxins in all of these products, and the majority of which will never be vetted, removed. No one's coming for you to help you with it, okay? They don't really have to disclose on the labels the way that food does. And even food stuff, there's stuff on your French fries that you never even have heard about from food engineering. Coatings on there. That's not on the label if you look it up. They don't have to disclose that because it's trade secrets. So,
Or there's less than 1% of it in the product.
exactly. So it's not enough to count as an ingredient. Medications, the goal is by coming to this office and living in the 5 essentials, eventually you'll be able to get off of those because you'll be so healthy you don't need them. Cleaners, cosmetics, shampoos, conditioners, right? So the cosmetics link, if you pull your phone out, is there, or it's ewg.org/skin deep. Skin deep. That's got all the ones. There's some pretty easy, instead of doing an antibiotic right away, number 1 is let your body fight the infection. Number 2 is use natural antibiotics like an oregano or colloidal silver or things like that. Antacids, you should be doing digestive enzymes because it's a red flag. You're not making enough acid. Something's going on with the stomach. Laxatives, obviously upstream, start doing that detox smoothie, and I guarantee you won't need a laxative. But so the problem is more of this isn't more health. Everyone knows that, right? It's just oftentimes we don't know what else to do. Cleaners in the kitchen, storage containers. The biggest thing you could do, you saw on my top 6 list there, was what? Remove plastics. Plastics. Plastics, plastics, plastic. Plastic is so convenient. It's not going anywhere, right? It's never going anywhere. It's so convenient. We're never going to get rid of it. But minimizing the way that you cook with it, eat with it, store things in it. Like, if you're going to go get coffee every day, bring a bottle with you and let them fill it up. You know what I mean? Or, like, you don't need to use that every single day, right? Or if you're bringing I bring my lunch, I bring my glass, I bring my fork. I'm not going to use a plastic fork every day and throw it away. Number one, I'm eating with it. Number two, now there's 365 plastic forks that I didn't need, right? So plastics is becoming a huge problem for life on Earth, but it's really bad for our hormones. Really bad for our hormones. And if you're taking food out, coming home, reheating it in plastic, eating it with plastic, microwaving, I mean, you're just setting up a disaster zone. That's the biggest thing on that. Detergents are a nonstop battle to try to get this right. Very difficult. We've been using the Zoom one, and now we're like, well, it does say fragrance. What does fragrance mean? Whatever you want it to mean. They can put whatever they want in that. Is it essential oils? I don't know. Right? So it's just one of those things like good, better, best, but good brands are Aspen Clean we have on that other handout. I like Aspen Clean a lot. Okay, I want to hit on this. This is really important. Stress is toxic because it creates physiology changes in the body. When the body is in a state of stress, it does not heal. It diverts resources for survival. If all you ever do is try to survive, you never heal, you never grow. So the body cannot be in growth mode and heal mode at the same time it's in survival mode. Does that make sense? It's two different things. You're going to be fluctuating in and out of these things all day, every day. And that's what's supposed to happen. And there's actually beautiful things that happen when you come in and out of stress. Like a workout is a stress. If you worked out every day, all day for 24 hours, you would die. And if you never work out, you also die. You see what I'm saying? So the whole point is this concept of hormesis, which means a stressor tells the body to change and then give it the opportunity to change. Okay? It's the same with your diet. It's the same with your stress. So no stress, nothing going on is called depression. Too much is called what? Anxiety. You can't keep up. Somewhere in between is where we all need to live, and we kind of give anxiety a little kiss, and then you give depression a little kiss, and you just kind of bounce back and forth. Okay? That's how you know you're normal. Right? So we ask on our paperwork sometimes, they're like, yeah, I'm a little anxious. Like, I have finals coming up. I'm like, you're not anxious. Like, you're normal. You're worried about your tests. Like, there's something big happening. That's normal. Right? So I'm changing the language for a reason here. So you want to do peace management, not stress management. There's a huge difference there. Why? Because thinking about stress is stressful. And our brains are set up that the more we focus on something, the more it expands. So our language matters, how we communicate matters, what we think about matters. What you think about expands. So if you walk around and say, I'm stressed, oh, I'm so stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed, you're stressed. And you're proving it to yourself, and your brain's going to find ways to prove that you're stressed. So I'm not saying that you ignore your stress. What I'm saying is you find ways to increase your peace and enjoyment and fulfillment, right? And we've all been there. Those of you that have kids understand this more than ever, because you'll get so stressed with them and then so peaceful with them all in a matter of 10 minutes, right? It's like the full continuum. That's life, but finding those ways to be like, oh man, peace. So some steps here, and I wrote a long list on your take-home sheet here. Get off of social media. That'll increase your peace. Stop watching the 5 o'clock news. That'll increase your peace. You know it's made so they can sell ad money, so what do they need to do? Catastrophize everything. So if you want to feel really crappy about your life, watch the news every night. And then hate everyone else that doesn't agree with everything you say. That's a lot of what people do nowadays. The 3 threes. So this is like an action step. Ready? What am I grateful for? 1, 2, 3 things. Affirmations. 1, 2, 3 things. Who knows what an affirmation is? An affirmation is a sentence or thought that you say about yourself in the first person, right? So you say, you're starting to work out more. You say, I am fit and I never miss a workout. That's an affirmation. And the more you say that kind of stuff, it becomes true. And then you start making decisions that the type of person who is fit and doesn't miss workouts makes, you know what I mean? Or instead of you get up, you go, oh, I missed one workout, and you actually do a negative affirmation. You say, I'm freaking lazy and I knew I couldn't do this. That's an affirmation. It's just a bad one. You're going the wrong way. And then move the needle forward, needle movers to move forward in life. 3 of those, that could be as simple as like, I got to pick up my dry cleaning and pay my taxes, and I got to do this. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do to move forward so I don't go all the way to this anxiety thing over here? Right? So those are the 3 threes. Do those every day. Learn when to say no and when to say yes. You guys could help me on that. Family adventure, no phone. Family dinner, no phone. I mean, that's huge. Or even if you're eating by yourself, no phone, right? I was going to play a video. Oh my gosh, I forgot his name now. It was a little vulgar and inappropriate, so I can't really like play that, you know what I mean? But, oh my gosh. Louis C.K. is the comedian's name. Louis C.K., I believe. He has a skit called I Hate Cell Phones. You guys should watch it. And it's like 10 years old now, but it's more pertinent than ever. And one of the jokes is like, he's in there, he's like, whatever happened to people just like sitting and like doing nothing? You know what I mean? Like, you're waiting for your car to get your oil change. You're just like sitting there thinking about life, like doing nothing. Nobody can do that. It's always, you know,
I did that.
right back into the social media.
Waiting for her, and I was sitting outside.
And you did nothing.
Well, I caught myself starting to look at my phone. I went, no, just sit there and look at the trees and hear the birds.
Peace management. You upped your peace. Super cool. Journaling's good if you're not self-aware enough about what's going on. It's a great way to become aware. Like, what am I thinking about? How am I feeling? What am I doing? And I think it's cool to look back like a time capsule. And oftentimes you've grown so much, you laugh at some of the stuff. You're like, man, I can't believe I thought that was rough. This is way worse what I'm going through now. Date night or like one-on-one time with your kids is cool, or a friend. Prioritizing downtime, which Laura just did. Waiting for the talk to start. That's huge. So that's peace management, technology detox we're talking about. BPA is the toxin we find in plastics. It's one of the big ones. There's more that we could talk about, phthalates, all these other things. They did a study. They took 20 people, made them all work out. Before they made them work out, they did blood, urine, and sweat tests for BPA. Okay? Blood, urine, and sweat. They made them all work out. 16 out of the 20 had tons of BPA in their sweat. Really cool. Even people that had none in their blood or their urine. Meaning, one of the best ways to detox plastic waste is sweat. That's what we're learning about it. So, you need to sweat more. How do you sweat? By working out or getting really hot in the sun. Okay, so here's my points on this, okay? Daily movement is necessary for optimization of the human body. But what I want you to do leaving here tonight is push yourself to the next level from where you are currently. And I wrote a little flow chart on there. If you are currently sedentary, which means you don't work out, your heart rate never goes up, then you need to start doing a walk. And on the walk, you don't bring your phone with, and you look at the birds in the trees like Laura said, or you walk with somebody that you like to be with, and you talk to them about life, or whatever. But you make a habit out of getting out and walking and moving. It's fresh air. Hopefully it's vigorous enough. You get faster at it. You can sweat a little bit in the summer. And then when you're done with walking, you created a habit. Fast forward 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks, you start adding in some weight training 2 or 3 days a week. Weight training can be anything other than your body weight. It could be 10 pounds that you're picking up. Okay? And if you have questions on this, ask me. Max T3 we have is an amazing resource for this. You go to a gym, go to a personal trainer, you look online, at home, 10-minute workout. There's so many resources. All that's missing is the habit. If you're already doing weight training, then I urge you to push it to a high-intensity interval training, which you can do with weights, you can do with walking, you can do with running, you can do with anything. High-intensity intervals means you're working out at a very high level of exertion for a short period of time. Okay? Most everyone in here is familiar with this, no? Has anyone never heard of HIIT training, high intensity? So HIIT training, okay? That can be anywhere like around 30 minutes or less. 30 is probably the max. If you're doing 30 minutes, you're not doing it right, is my opinion. Or you're just excessively fit. Because 30 minutes is a long time to be doing high intensity. So the comments are 2 things. One is the concept of grounding, which is we were made to walk barefoot on planet Earth, and we're not doing it. So doing it fulfills a deficiency, right? So there's electromagnetic fields that ground us to the earth. Super beneficial, walking barefoot. Also good for the brain because the bare feet are navigating and sending neurofeedback to the brain, right? And then she said hug a tree or hug a human as well. When we hug as human beings or we embrace, there's an exchange of oxytocin, upregulation in our bodies. Oxytocin is a feel-good hormone. It's like the love hormone. So it literally changes your physiology. Yeah, that's great points. These are all great points. Keep your spine aligned. All of you are doing that because I recognize your faces, which is really good. But this goes back to, you could give someone all the detox supplements in the world, make them sweat and work out, but if their nervous system can't deliver messages from the brain to the body and to the end organs, the coordination of life comes from the neurology. Does that make sense? So you have all these cells all over the body, 70 trillion cells. How do they know what to do? How does this one know to differentiate to a heart cell? How fast does the heart know to beat? It's all neurology. It all goes back to the brain. And the condition of your spine dictates that. So a bad back, a bad neck, it's not just my neck hurts. It's your body's not healing. You're not functioning. You're not detoxifying. You're not turning over cells. Your body can't find that tumor because you're so subluxated and misaligned that the lights are out. Does that make sense? So keeping the spine aligned, spinal movement should be part of your workout and then part of your routine in here. And my language on it, which is most congruent to how I use it in my own life, is you should have regular spinal adjustments, whatever that means. Some people, it's, they're coming in here for the first time. It's like they need to come here every day. Some people, it's a couple weeks, once a week, whatever. And daily spinal hygiene. Daily spinal hygiene, meaning wobble cushion, you're aware of your posture, you're going for a walk, you're doing some stretching, these type of things. Being aware that your spine is literally your lifeline into the body. So, world's best detox is this right here, okay? So, what I'm recommending you do on a regular basis for the next 90 days. I almost want to say for the rest of your life, but only a couple of these you need to do for the rest of your life. But number one is implement the advanced plan. High fat, moderate protein, which you don't have to worry about protein. It'll take care of itself for the most part. Low carbohydrate. Sugar, okay? Advanced plan for 90 days. You don't want to go longer than 90 days, in my opinion, on the advanced plan because you're going to be making ketones, your blood sugar is going to be really low and healthy, and then it's time for your body to make a change. And we'll talk about that in a second. But 90 days on the advanced plan is really good. Even if you've done it before, do it again. Implement your exercise routine. So again, if you're sedentary, start walking. If you're walking and doing good, start weight training. If you're weight training, go to HIIT training. Okay? You have to be doing about half your body weight in ounces of water per day. Why? Because the kidneys need to be filtering to eliminate waste through the urine. The bowels need to have water to make feces move out. And if you're dehydrated and trying to detox, you are just recirculating toxic waste. 8 hours of sleep or more based on what you need. Why? That's what we've shown to see is the most common need for everybody. The body is healing when it's sleeping. When we're awake, it's all output. Do, move, eat, think. When we shut down and reset is sleep. So believe it or not, that's one of your best strategies for detoxing is sleep. Support your nervous system. Regular adjustments, daily spinal hygiene. I know I wrote on here weekly. Not everyone's weekly. Daily spinal hygiene every day. You're moving your spine. You're taking good care of your spine. Wobble chair, traction, and then your regular adjustments. And then go home and clean out your house. And don't be, man, I have a long lineage of people that keep stuff in my family. This is toxic stuff. So think about it like this. Why would you want to keep it? You would even feel bad giving it to somebody you don't like when you understand that it's toxic, right? Like somebody comes to my house, I'm not going to give their kid a Starburst, which is hydrogenated trans fats and artificial colors and sugar. I wouldn't give the kid a cigarette. Actually, I'd be more inclined to give him a cigarette than a Starburst. I don't know. It's just like, here you go. I'm going to destroy your brain. That's how you have to think about it, because it is that way. Like, it's just, that's the reality of the situation. This stuff is toxic. Before you leave, while this is fresh in your mind, Write down your 3 action steps. 3 action steps. What are you going to change starting tonight or tomorrow? It can be as simple as your laundry detergent. It could be you're changing your whole diet. It could be your detoxing, whatever it is. Do it while it's fresh.